Let's move on to undefined and null data types. Both of these data types represent no value, but then they are used differently. For undefined, the variables can be declared but no value will be assigned. But for the null data type, we intentionally set it to empty. So from the example, you can see we've declared the age variable let's age. When we try to display the contents of age, we will get back undefined. For the last part, we have created a null data type which is called empty. And also, we have set it to null, showing that we want to intentionally make it empty. Now, we can convert one form of data type to another form. Let's look at some of the examples. We can convert a string data type to a number data type. We can also convert a string data type to a Boolean data type. So let's look at some of the examples. For this example, we have created a variable called num2string, where we are converting the number data type 6 to a string data type. For the second example, we have created a variable called string to null, where we are converting the string form of number 12 to an actual data type number. For the last example, we've created a variable called string to go, where we are converting any string to a boolean, which will be set to true. Now let's look at operators. So we have 4 operators, which are arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators, and logical operators. Let's look at each of these operators. The arithmetic operators help us to perform mathematical calculation on values, which in this case they are called operands. So we have the addition, we have subtraction, we have multiplication, and we have division. We also have the exponentiation, which in this case, we know them as a value raised to the power another value. For the last part, we have the modulus operator. So let's go through an example with all these operators. We have console.log a plus b, which is using the addition operator. We also have the subtraction operator, and we have the division, and we have multiplication, which is using the asterisk operator. So console.log a asterisk b, with the asterisk being the multiplication operator. On line 8, we have the exponent operator, which uses 2 asterisks. So while the multiplication uses 1 asterisk, the exponent uses 2 asterisks. So we have console.log a double asterisk 2. So this is the same as a raised to the power 2. So the exponent operator is going to simply multiply the value of a by itself. And then on line 9, we have console.log a percentage sign b. So this stands for the modulus operator. The modulus operator simply returns the remainder value after a division. So let's look at the results. From the console, we have 18, which is the results of a plus b. We have 8, which is a minus b. We have 2.6, which is a divided by b. And we have 65, which is a times b. We also have 169, which is a exponent 2 or 13 exponent 2. And with the last example, a modulus b, we have 3. Let's move on to operator precedence. So with the different operators that we have, there are specific rules governing how we are supposed to use them in order. So the first part, we have grouping, which is given the highest priority. This means if you have an expression in a bracket, that is going to be given the highest priority before any other expression comes. The second part, which is given the highest priority, a higher priority, is the exponentiation, followed by a prefix, which is the plus plus and the minus minus. We also have the fourth part, which is the multiplication, and then division and the modulus. The last part is the addition and subtraction. For this example, we have let results, which is 2 plus 3 times 4, and we have results 2, which is into brackets 2 plus 3 times 4. With the first part, the expression 3 times 4 is going to be given the highest priority because it is having the multiplication sign. And then we have the results of that expression plus 2. So 3 times 4 is going to be 12, and 12 plus 2 will be 14. So we have 14 as the result. For results 2, the expression in the brackets is going to be evaluated first. So 2 plus 3, we have 5. And then 5 times 4, we have 20. Now let's move on to assignment operators. Assignment operators help us to store, update, and assign values to variables. So we have the fundamental assignment operator, which is the equal sign. And we also have the compound assignment operators, which is having each of the arithmetic operators attached to the equal sign. So let's take a look at an example. In this example, we have created a variable x and we've assigned it to 10. We've also created 6 other variables, x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, and x6. And we've assigned them to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 64. Now let's look at the compound assignment operators. So on line 10, we have x1 plus equals 5. So this is the same as writing x1 equals x1 plus 5. So we do the same thing for subtraction, the multiplication, division, the exponentiation, and the modulus. And then we are going to print, and then we are going to display the results in our terminal. So let's take a look at the results. From the terminal, you could see the first resulting value we have is 6. We also have -1, which is coming from the subtraction part. We have the 6 coming from the multiplication part. We have 1 coming from the division part. We have 25 coming from the exponents part. And also we have 4 coming from the modulus part. Let's move on to the comparison operators. With the comparison operators, we compare two values or two operands and return a result, either true or false. So we have the equal, we have the strict equal, we have not equal, and then we have the strict not equal. We also have the greater than, less than, greater than or equal, and less than or equal. Let's go through each of these operators in an example and also explain. For this example, we have all the comparison operators. On line 4, we are using the equal operator. So the equal operator is used to compare values with type coercion. With the type coercion, it means if we are comparing values from two different data types, for example, a number and a string, they are going to be converted into one standard data type and then we evaluate them. So with the example, we have 5, which is a number, equals 5 from a string type. So here, a coercion is going to happen where the string 5 is going to be converted into a number 5. And then we compare the values. So this will return results which is true or false. Then we have the strict equal. With the strict equals, it checks the value and the data type. So for this example, on line 7, we have 5, which is a number, and triple equal sign, and then 5, which is a string. This is going to check the value 5. So on the left hand side and the right hand side, both values are showing 5, but the types are different. So this is going to return false. On line 8, we have 5 triple equals 5. For this part, both operands are coming from the same data type. So it's going to check the value and also their data type. Now let's look at the inequality comparison. On line 14, we are using the not equal. So with the not equal, we check only the value. So here on the left hand side, we have 10, which is a number, and 10, which is a string. So the string 10 is going to be converted into a number 10. And then the comparison is going to be done. But the not equal is going to flip the expected results. So initially, if we had 10 equals 10, it's going to be true. But the not equal is going to flip the results and we are going to get false. On line 17, we are using the strict not equal. So this is opposite to what the strict equals does. The only difference is that it is going to flip the result. So if it's true, it is going to be false. And then if it's false, it's going to be true. Now let's look at let's look at relational comparison. On line 30 and 31, we have the greater than or equal to, which returns true if the left hand side value is greater than the right hand side value, or both values are equal. On line 34 and 35, we are using the less than or equal to, which also returns true when both operands are the same or the value on the left hand side is smaller than the value on the right hand side. So let's look at the results. So from the terminal, we have true from line 4. So the 5 from the string was converted into a number type, and then we check the values on both hand sides. Each of them are 5, so the result is true. And for line 7, which we are using straight equal, the result is going to be false because the data types are different, but the values are the same. And on line 8, we have true because both values are coming from the same data type. So from line 14, we have false, which is coming from the not equal operator. And on line 17, we also have false, which is coming from the straight not equal. From line 23, 10 is greater than 5, so we have true. And for line 24, we have 5 is not greater than 10, so we have false. From line 30 and 31, we have true and false, which we are using the greater than or less than. On line 34 and 35, we have true and false, also coming from the less than or